Next up, we're going to move right along. Our next speaker is a brand new one. Has never yet been on this stage to share anything, but we're very excited about it because she's a little firecracker. Brings the thunder, as we say, which is pretty great, and that is our very own Hannah Billingsley, everybody.
Thank you, Danny. I had remarks made in case you said nice things about me, but I'll save the self-deprecating joke for when a proper introduction is made. With it being back to school season, I thought I would share a really basic, rudimentary thought. Plus, I homeschooled, so basically that's all I'm able to share. Two weeks ago, I was driving and I had what I considered a brilliant thought. So I knew exactly who to call, and I called my dad. And I called him, and homeboy did not pick up the phone. So I did what any sane person would do, and I called him again. And it rang and rang, and it went to voicemail. You guys sent me to voicemail. So following this path of sanity, I called my mom. And she picked, she's like, hey, hon. I was like, Dad's there with you right now, isn't he? And I interrogated her. She's like, yeah, he's doing laundry. And I just began to share with my mom how really I was disappointed. My dad did not pick up the phone because what could he possibly be doing outside of dadding? I am so used to having endless accessibility to my dad. So anyway, to get back at my dad, I'm doing his least favorite thing, and I'm doing the French tuck. I don't know where the video is, but Dad, I want you to see this full French tuck that you hate so much that every time you see it, you remark on it. A couple days later, I was helping a friend. He's 18 years old. He was packing for college. His name's Isaac. It's Vito's son. And it was we were down in the basement. By this point, he's supposed to be in the truck driving to California at this point while we are packing the PS4. But here we are, just me and him, and I'm holding the box, and he's throwing the PS4 in there. And he opens a drawer, and he's like, Hannah, a brand new HDMI cable. I was like, great. Throw it in the box, Isaac. And he says, man, I don't know. It's brand new. My dad must have bought it for something special. It's like, Isaac, you're his son. Throw it in the box. He's like, yeah, you're right. And he throws it in the box. And I'm thinking, your dad is about to spend the next 2 weeks driving to California, paying for your tuition. I think the $10 HDMI cable is like all part of the package. Like, don't worry about it. And I don't know if it's because Isaac and I are the youngest ones in our family, but nobody had to teach us about this dadding thing. Nobody wakes us up in the morning and says, hey, Hannah, just so you know, your dad's time, it's your time. Endless accessibility, 24/7. Nobody tells Isaac, everything that's Vito's, as far as the eye can see, is yours, kid. We just know these things. In fact, I have a special name for my dad. I've called him Daddio since I was a tot. And my brother has a special name for him. He calls my dad Pop-Tart. No, it's not as cute as Daddio. Don't laugh. No. And if my sister were capable of affection, I think she would also have some kind of name for him, like Pops or Sarge. But there's a word in Scripture that's used like Daddio, and it's called Abba. Thank you, Danny, for not breaking out into Mamma Mia just then. I know. All right. Don't steal my thunder, bro. And if I had more time than these beautiful 7 minutes, I would actually, share scriptures with you. But I'm a victim here, okay? You're going to want to blame this lack of word on Danny. But I'll paraphrase. And if you guys thought the Passion Translation was terrible, just wait until I paraphrase these verses. 3 times Abba is used. Twice Paul is using it, and he's writing to these new churches in Galatia and Rome. And he's sharing with them, hey, now that you've been filled with the Spirit, it's going to prompt you into a new kind of relationship with the Lord. Before the Spirit, you didn't know anything about this kind of relationship. And now that you're filled with the Spirit, it prompts you to have a new kind of relationship called Abba. And Abba is like father, but it's a term of endearment. And Strong's Concordance says it's like saying daddy or papa. And I always wondered if it would be weird saying daddy in front of a large group. It is. And the other time Abba is used is when Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane. He's with his disciples, and he takes a couple of them. It's right before he gets arrested and crucified. If you haven't read the whole Bible, spoiler alert, that night he gets arrested. And so he's with his disciples, and he takes 2 of them. He's like, look, I'll do the heavy lifting. I'll do the praying. Just sit there and watch. And his disciples went there, and in this prayer, you see Jesus use a term he has never used before. And he begins to pray to his Father. And in that prayer, he starts off and says, Abba. And in that prayer, he begins to what I would characterize as a sharing of his desires with his Abba in that moment of what's to come. And even really sharing, you can sense some disappointment of what he has to face. And he was trying to model for his disciples. In just a few weeks, this is what you're going to have access to. This is the kind of identity-based prayer you'll be able to pray. Before, it was different. But now there's a deep connection that's about to happen. And you'll be able to cry out, Abba. You'll be able to cry out, Daddio. Now, some of you are in here thinking, Hannah, I've been praying the Lord's Prayer since I was 6. I've been saying Our Father all my life. I'm well aware that the Lord is my Father. And I think that's a good first step. I think that's wonderful. But this is a different type. See, when I'm filling out a form and it gets to the part that says Father, I obviously put in Jeffrey Billingsley because he's my father. It's when I get to the part that says emergency contact and I put in Jeffrey Billingsley that he becomes my dad. Because that's me stating to the world and stating to my Father, I know you will move heaven and earth to come rescue me. It doesn't matter you live 1,189 miles away from me. I could be in any kind of situation, and because you're my dad, you're the number one person I trust. He's my dad because he's the number one person in my favorites list on my phone. And why it's so important, I think, to understand this role of Abba, this role of Daddio, is because as you begin to trust in him more and you begin to share more, you're going to see how good God is. You're going to find out through your sharing and through your trusting how deep the Father's love is for you. And in return, you can't help but fall madly and deeply in love with him. And the bond just continues. It's important that we realize that he's our Abba, that he's our dad, that there's no such thing as oversharing. We're all a little guilty of that, but not with Abba. He actually wants to hear every single disappointment. He wants to hear every single desire. Whatever the equivalent of stealing an HDMI cable is, he wants that. He loves that you assume that the best things are headed your way. He's out to prove to you, you know what, you're right. I'm your Abba. And so I don't want to say homework, but we're on this theme of back to school, so let's go. My homework to you for this week is to find yourself in a conversation with your Daddio and begin to share things with him that you haven't shared. And you know you're doing a good job at this. It starts to get a little cringe in your conversation. If you feel like, I just overshared, you did it. He loves it. It's going to be the highlight of his day. And as you begin to share, just watch what he'll never misplace your trust. You're going to find out just how beautiful the love of the Father, the love of Abba is. Bless you guys.